What's up guys, NBA video tayo for tonight. In this video, we're going to discuss whether the Minnesota Timberwolves could be serious contenders and could possibly win the 2024 NBA Championship. So these dudes are for real. After sweeping the Phoenix Suns out of the playoffs, who most people thought would beat them and are a matchup problem, they're a basketball team that you should keep your eyes on. Despite being the higher seeded team, the Minnesota Timberwolves entered their series matchup against Phoenix as underdogs kasi natalo sila sa regular season series against Phoenix. 3-0 sila nun. Not sniffing a win. But this time is different. Minnesota finished the regular season on a strong note, securing a top 3 seed in the West. They finished with 56 wins, 56-26 record, which was their most wins in a season since 2004 when Kevin Garnett roamed the Wolves' lair. But the Timberwolves refused to be intimidated as they came into the series with a chip on their shoulder. They're determined to prove that they were a team to be reckoned with. Minnesota made quick work of Phoenix during their playoff games, dominating them on both ends of the floor to sweep their playoff series 4-0, a complete reversal of their matchup with Phoenix in the regular season. The Timberwolves have been on a journey of rebuilding and growth, and this might just be the season where they shock the world and bring home the championship. Parang dark horse talaga. Let's start with a bit of context. No secret that the Timberwolves have had their share of struggles in the past. But if history has taught us anything, is that every dog has its day. The Wolves have just been gradually soaring to the top ever since Anthony Edwards was drafted in 2020. They had a competitive playoff series against Memphis in 2022, put up a tough fight against the eventual champions Denver Nuggets last year, and now this could be the year they finally take off. They have a talented roster with players who excel on both ends of the court, and a coaching staff that knows how to maximize their strengths. The Timberwolves have been a team on the rise for a while now, and they are poised to make a deep postseason run in the 2024 NBA playoffs. At ito yung mga rason. Bakit? So number 1, roster construction and team composition. There are a few reasons why the Timberwolves are well positioned to win it all. First and foremost, the roster construction is top-notch. They have a superstar in Anthony Edwards, who has absolutely shown that he can be a dominant force in the league. Edwards is a two-way player who can score from anywhere on the court, and he's also a lockdown defender who can shut down the opposing team's best player. In addition to Edwards, the Timberwolves have several other talented players who can contribute in big ways. In fact, 2 all-star players. Karl-Anthony Towns, a true second option behind Ant-Man, and one of the most versatile big men in the league. The best big man three-point shooter, I believe. Rudy Gobert is a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year who anchors the Timberwolves defense. Mike Conley, a veteran point guard who brings leadership and experience to the team. Naz Reid is a young player with a ton of potential who just won the 6th Man of the Year award. Jaden McDaniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker are both all NBA wing defenders who can guard the best players in the league. And they also have the veterans to be called in case of need with different skill sets that fits the core, with Kyle Anderson, Jordan McLaughlin, and Monte Morris. All in all, pagsama-sama mo lahat yan, this is a roster that was well planned and built and has all the makings of a championship contender. So defense. What sets the Timberwolves apart from other teams in the league in their defensive prowess? They have been one of the most dominant defensive teams in the NBA over the last 10 years, and they have brought it in the playoffs thus far. The numbers don't lie, it's a known fact, and as they always say in basketball, defense wins championships. The Timberwolves are ranked number 1 in a lot of defensive stats this season. Check this out. Defensive rating, opponent points allowed per 100 possessions, opponent field goal percentage, opponent field goals made per game, opponent field goals attempts per game. The Wolves are also ranked 3rd in overall net rating at 6.6, just behind Boston and OKC. They have been one of the most dominant defensive teams in the NBA, not just this season, but over the last 10 years. The 2024 Minnesota Timberwolves had the 3rd best defense relative to the NBA league average in the past decade. So much the past 10 years, behind only the 2016 Spurs and 2020 Bucks. The Wolves were also ranked in the top 10 of all team defense stats this season, including defensive rating, defensive rebounding percentage, steals, blocks, opponent second chance points, opponent fast break points, and opponent points in the paint. Even the eye test pops out too. The difference between these Wolves are defending from top to bottom, from having a legit shot blocker in Gobert, a physical presence in Towns, defensive and pesky wings in Alexander Walker, McDaniels, and Edwards. So check this defensive possession out in Game 4, which was my favorite one, of their first round series versus the Suns, which perfectly encapsulated the defense that they have all season long. So Kevin Durant found himself on a mismatch against the smaller Mike Conley on the right post, and the Wolves' scrappy defensive rotation ensued. Towns came to double, which forced the rest of their defense into rotation. The Suns tried swinging the ball sideways towards the opposite corner, but Minnesota's defense was just crisp and on point. Walang nawawala. Alexander Walker on the one pass away guy, McDaniels, who was in the left wing, rotated over to the top of the key, and then Edwards took McDaniel's spot in the wing from his original place in the corner. Conley then rotated over to the corner, and when Beal drove baseline, Towns was there again to help. It forced another pass back to the original corner. However, Alexander Walker was already there to get the steal. This team is built to defend and have the personnel to have that kind of defensive identity. The Timberwolves have a number of players who are capable of locking down their opponents, including Edwards, McDaniels, and Alexander Walker. They have Towns who can body up against other big men and make it difficult for them to score. Mike Conley and Kyle Anderson off the bench are smart positional defenders that play good team defense. The Timberwolves defense is anchored by Gobert. Alam na natin ito lahat, which is one of the best rim protectors in the league. The 7'1" Frenchman has been the defensive player of the league 3 times in his career, and he's in the running for a 4th one this year. Vocal leader in si Gobert on the court who sets the tone for the rest of his team. His presence in the paint makes it difficult for other teams to score inside and allows the Timberwolves perimeter defenders to be more aggressive. He will always be the anchor in the middle to deter all the shot attempts in the paint while his teammates wreak havoc and apply pressure on the perimeter. Another key factor in the Timberwolves' success is their coaching staff. Head coach Chris Finch has established himself as a master strategist, finishing second in voting for the league's Coach of the Year award just behind Mark Daigneault and the resurgent OKC Thunder. Finch's game plans are innovative and effective, and he always seems to have the right adjustments to counter the opposing team's moves. He's also shown a willingness to experiment with different lineups and play styles to find what works best for his team. As evidence, by playing some unconventional lineups like Gobert, Towns, and Reed, the 3-center lineup to substantial success throughout the season, gumana naman in some parts. Finch has been able to get the most out of his lineups and players, particularly on the defensive end of the court. He's instilled a defensive mindset in the team that has made them one of the most difficult teams to score against in the league. Finch has also been able to use his players' strengths to create mismatches against other teams. Playing both Towns and Gobert at the same time has created a dominant force that can control the paint and has led Minnesota to the best defense in the league. Another advantage the Timberwolves have is their chemistry. They seem to genuinely enjoy playing together, and the camaraderie translates into success on the court. When players are comfortable with each other and trust each other, they are more likely to make plays and take risks. There were countless moments throughout the series where players could be seen celebrating and encouraging each other, even during tough stretches. With Edwards' growth as a leader and as a playmaker growing each and every day, the Wolves could reach even greater heights. Of course, there are also some challenges that the Timberwolves would need to overcome if they want to win the championship in 2024. One of the biggest challenges will be staying healthy. Injuries can derail even the best teams, and the Timberwolves will need to make sure their players are taking care of their bodies and avoid unnecessary risks. Especially si Karl Anthony Towns, laging may nangyayaring disgrasya dyan. Another challenge will be maintaining their defensive intensity throughout the season. Defense is a key part of the Timberwolves' identity, and they will need to stay focused and locked in on that end of the court if they want to win it all. They will also need to avoid getting into foul trouble, as that can disrupt their defensive rhythm and give the other team easy points, which they obviously don't want. Looking ahead, the path to the championship won't be easy. The NBA is full of talented teams, and any one of them could stand in the way of the Timberwolves' dreams. But with the right mindset and the right preparation, the Timberwolves could be the dark horse contender of the playoffs and maybe sneak one against the Denver Nuggets. At the end of the day, winning an NBA championship takes more than just talent. It takes heart, determination, and willingness to put in the work. The Timberwolves have all of these qualities and more. They have been building towards this moment for years, and they're ready to take the league by storm. They have completely arrived. The Minnesota Timberwolves are a team on the rise with a lot of talent and potential. They have a strong roster, a top-notch coaching staff, and a defensive mindset that sets them apart with other teams in the league. They have a burgeoning superstar in Anthony Edwards, who's fully burst onto the national scene and is looking ready to be the next face of the NBA. He's looking like he's got what it takes to become the NBA's next big thing when LeBron, Steph, and KD retire. So according to NBA Communications, fun fact lang dito, Edwards has generated more than 100 million video views across NBA social and digital media platforms since the start of the playoffs, second amongst all players, just trailing LeBron with 130 million video views. Edwards finished the regular season as the 7th most viewed player on NBA socials and has gained the most Instagram followers among players since the start of the playoffs. People are starting to notice about Edwards' play, and they can sense it. He's the next American superstar to be the face of the league. While there are potentially challenges that they will need to overcome, the Timberwolves are well positioned to make a serious run at the NBA championship in 2024. If they continue to play to their strengths and stay focused on their goals, they could very well bring a championship to Minnesota in the near future.